All right, welcome to the Property Prescription. Today we've got special guest, Alice McKenna.
Yes.
Who looks after all these sort of home buying requirements for all of our doctors in Melbourne.
Yes.
Alice, just give us a little bit of an intro on yourself, your background. What made you do this? Why do you enjoy buying homes?
That's a really good question, Phil. Thank you for having me, firstly. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is exciting. I think what I really enjoy about helping people buy homes is helping them solve problems in a professional capacity. So all of my training, all of my academic career took me to law, and I qualified as a lawyer and worked as a lawyer for a couple of years where I was a professional problem solver. Obviously, people come to you as a lawyer.
What sort of law?
I did a lot of family law, which can be a little bit soul destroying.
Okay,
so,
right. Oh, God, okay. We won't go there.
No, don't go there. There is a reason why I was looking for another opportunity and I ended up working in property. And it's because I'm drawn to helping people solve their problems, but I wanted some more positive subject matter to deal with, really. And that's what being a buyer's agent gives you, because you're helping people solve a really great problem, which is, I want to buy a home. It's a bit hard and I need some help.
And it's very time consuming and very stressful.
Yes.
So obviously with our doctors, what are some of the sort of mistakes that you're seeing them do? And when you're sitting down with a doctor, and you're obviously pitching and saying, well, you go and pay us a fee to go and find a home for you.
Yep.
What do you often get sort of pushback on in terms of your expertise and the value add that you bring when you're sitting? What do you tell a doctor?
I think for a lot of medical professionals, they're very time poor. And if they have tried to buy a home themselves, they've probably gone to a lot of inspections, they've received a lot of phone calls from real estate agents, and they're probably a little bit sick of that constant communication about properties that aren't right for them. So typically doctors have tried it, because doctors are very good at what they do. They're very competent people. They're very smart.
Yeah.
They will often try to buy a home, try to do the property search themselves for a period of time and realise, unfortunately, it's quite difficult. And then they'll probably be referred to Performance Property for some assistance from a professional buyer's agent. Occasionally you will receive some pushback if people are a little bit worried about spending money on a service for something that on the face of it they can do themselves. But there is a lot of skill needed to buy a property well, and there's also a lot of skill to locate good properties that aren't advertised online, and that's where using a reputable buyer's agent will really help.
And talk about your skill set in terms of you're sitting down with a doctor, the doctor comes and meets with you. They've been looking for a house, say in Hawthorn, for the last 12 months, can't find anything.
Yes.
What makes you so different for them going and doing it themselves?
I'll find them properties that they're not going to get told about by the lead agents in the area. And the reason why they won't is because the lead agent is not hugely interested in helping somebody off the street, because they're not getting paid by anybody other than the vendor. So the selling agents will advertise a property online. They'll have a lot of buyers come through. They'll be able to sell it to one of those buyers. They don't necessarily need to place a huge amount of effort in solving that buyer's problem, because they're solving their vendor's problem. But when a doctor has gone through a property and it's not the right one for them and they ask for off markets, the agent will put a minimal amount of effort into giving them an off market, because they may not be a genuine buyer. Whereas if me, a buyer's agent, speaks to that agent and says, look, I've got a buyer, this is what I'm looking for, they know they put some effort into providing an off-market property to me, there's a much higher chance that it's going to be the right fit for my client, because I've asked for it specifically.
And talk about the fee discussion. We get a lot of doctors pushing back on fees, and we're definitely not the cheapest out there, nor do we want to be. And talk about some of the other sort of, when you're having that fee discussion and the compression and the discussion around that, and your value that you bring in with a lot of the case studies that we've seen over the years that you bring into offering that advice around that fee discussion, which is always a big one.
It is a big one. It's a big one for anyone, because everybody works very hard to earn their money. Essentially, you are buying your time back. You're also buying the expertise of us. So we'll provide really, really thorough market analysis and advice regarding current value for a property, where I think a lot of people struggle to do that. So having the resources at our fingertips to be able to provide that evidence-backed advice is something that most people don't have themselves. So that gives them confidence to work out what's a property worth, how are we going to buy it, how much do we need to pay to be prepared to do it. That's value that we provide that not a lot of people are able to work out themselves. In terms of how performance compares in the marketplace of buyers agents, you're right, we're not the cheapest, but we're also not the most expensive. And my general philosophy is if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Like, you really do want to be paying for a quality service with any service you're engaging. If I'm going shopping, I'm probably shopping for a good quality product. I'm not going for the cheapest item that's out there. That should be the same approach that you approach to any professional service.
Well, like at property doctors, we've actually pushed some of our doctors away because, from our end, you want an expert. So if I'm going out to look at a doctor, obviously doing surgery on myself or my knee, you want the best.
Absolutely.
Available out there. So
I don't want someone who's taught themselves off YouTube.
Correct. So this is quite a common sort of issue that we come against. Obviously, a lot of competitors that we're a lot more expensive than them, but we put it back on the doctor and we actually tell them, if you want the best and you want the best outcome, and often a lot of doctors are looking at the wrong property. And, we've got a due diligence process that we go through to make sure we risk mitigate that before the doctor even looks at the property.
Very thorough.
So you save them all that time of wasting time with looking at the wrong properties that have been, and you're talk about some of the off-market properties that you're seeing priced incorrectly as well. So
absolutely, especially at the moment where the Melbourne market's been a bit stagnant for a while, there are some vendors out there with really unrealistic price expectations, particularly when they're being offered for sale off-market. There's a reason why properties are offered for sale off-market, and sometimes that is because the vendor is just fishing for a price that's not really what it would sell for on the open market, and an agent is hoping they might get lucky with an unsuspecting victim. Occasionally they do, occasionally they don't, and they do have to run it to market. But the value that we're able to provide in that situation is give the advice to the client, yes, this is off market, which is great. However, it's overpriced, so we don't recommend that you purchase it at the price that they're asking for. And we will either structure a very specific negotiation strategy to try to purchase it at a reasonable price, and you do that through having an open dialogue with the agent. If it's becoming very clear from the messaging you're getting from the agent that the vendor is just not willing to really meet a reasonable market price, then you're not going to invest any more time or waste any more time on chasing something that doesn't exist.
Shouldn't be. Exactly right. And interest rates have obviously increased. We've just had the recent cash rate announcement as well. So what do you think if you're a doctor looking to buy their home right now in Melbourne? What are you telling them?
I'm telling them go for it.
So it's a great time.
It's a great time to buy. If there are potential competitors that are scared off by what they're hearing in the news, that's a really great time to get your pre-approval, get yourself in a position where you know how much money you're working with, and make a really sensible and strategic purchase. Because once the media tells everyone that it's a great time to buy, it's too late. You've got more competition and you're paying a lot more for that property that you could have secured earlier. So
buying conditions right now for the first time since sort of 2018, if you're looking to upgrade your home, if you're sort of more of a seasoned doctor, or if you're a young doctor looking to buy your first home in Melbourne, we haven't seen buying conditions this strong for a long, long period of time.
No, we haven't. And it's not going to last forever either. We don't know when it'll change. So it's a good time to start now.
So we like a little bit of pain, which opens up your buying window. And talk about sort of some of the mistakes that you see a lot of doctors obviously doing it themselves in terms of due diligence. And do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, I see them firstly just wasting a lot of time by themselves before they've engaged a buyer's agent. As I said earlier, doctors are very competent people, but sometimes they might overestimate their own competence when it comes to real estate in the nicest possible way. So unfortunately, they'll often come to me and they've been trying for several months and failing. And what they're doing is looking at the wrong property. So they're not critically analysing anything they're looking at what it's advertised for and thinking that's within my budget and I'll go and have a look. I'll often see doctors looking at properties that might be cosmetically attractive but not actually have very good fundamentals. So they might not be in a great area or too close to a really busy road, or there's some very fundamental aspect of the property that is something that shouldn't be compromised on, but they're attracted to the immediate comfortability of the property. They might have a partner who is pushing them pretty hard to get out of whatever uncomfortable home they're in currently, and they're a little bit influenced by looking for comfort and not necessarily looking at the fundamentals of what they're buying.
Yeah.
And that can be problematic down the track.
And there's a golden rule as well when we're dealing with a doctor, and when we have our young doctors looking to buy their home, we always ask them the question, is this going to be sort of a 10-year sort of long-term asset, or should we be looking at more as an investment? And we've seen over the years a number of our doctors that have come to us and bought their home, obviously not with us, that have made a mistake, and the entry and exit costs of buying a $5 million home in South Yarra, when they've outgrown it within 2 to 3 years, and then they've had to upgrade. So you've seen a lot of this come on your plate over the years with doctors.
It's really unfortunate when you're paying stamp duty more frequently than you need to.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of donation to the state government.
Yeah, so if we can put a stop to that.
Yeah.
What's the golden rule when we talk to a doctor? We always ask them the question, is this going to be your 10-year plus house? If it is, spend the right money. Don't be too, if they can afford it, go and do it, because this is for the long term. We don't want them trading these particular assets if it's the right asset for them and they have to stretch a little bit to get into that blue chip pocket of that particular suburb.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, I think we might end it there. Thank you very much, Alice. That was fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
So you'll be very busy over the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
I will be.
Yep.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of sort of doctor briefs.
It's an exciting time.
So that's good. So we'll end it there. Thanks very much for listening to the Property Prescription, and thanks, Alice.
Thank you.